Hello, everybody. Welcome to Party Chat, our Q&A for everybody at the Min-Max Council tier. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, everybody, for listening as well. However you're consuming this content, however you're supporting this content, we thank thee. The way it works is if you want to join the Min-Max Council tier, that $20 tier, even just for 1 month, you can call in and podcast with us directly. You can ask any question under the sun. Hello, E.N.T. Clark.
Hello.
What's
good
happening?
Afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. What's happening?
Hey, Haley.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I'm about to get real nerdy.
Yep.
And talk about Zelda narrative.
Oh boy. Okay.
One of the things that with the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom coming out, the confirmation of Ganondorf,
right?
Is there was like, what is this story? And I think the way they built that trailer, which everybody's give a lot of comments on how masterfully done it was like, are these? Because if you go back and watch the Breath of the Wild trailer, the equivalent, a lot of it is recapping those memories or the highlights from those memories. So I'm thinking this might be the same for Tears of the Kingdom, but the stuff with Ganon has got me really interested because they also pull in, there's some screenshots you can see of, it looks like Ganon, but maybe they think it's the main baddie from Skyward Sword Demise.
Oh.
And how does that fit into the world? And so over the weekend I went into this like deep dive of Zelda lore and how the timelines are connected. And, I've always thought they were kind of nonsense, just like, hey, you need to put something in a book to say what order the games are in.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you break it down, it's really freaky when it comes to Ganondorf, I should say.
Okay. And what is
the same Ganondorf that's in Ocarina of Time? He's also the same Ganon from Twilight Princess, but it's only from the timeline when Link goes back in time and warns Zelda about Ganondorf's betrayal. So it gets so crazy. There is a lot to unpack there.
I saw there was one comment on our YouTube reaction, and I was like, what? Because, you saw me stream that Breath of the Wild thing. Like, I love Breath of the Wild, but it's all hazy. Like, even to the point where people are talking about, like, the champions and all that stuff. I'm like, man, I don't really remember any of their names or any of their deals in any way.
The Urbosa stuff stuck with me for them. Otherwise, no one else.
Yeah.
Like the desert.
Yep.
It's great.
But so there was a comment on our reaction stream where somebody just said, like, why isn't anybody talking about the fact that this is clearly a prequel? That person's out of their minds, right, E.N.T. Clark?
No, they're not, because, like, look at the logo, right? That serpent that's consuming itself. I can't remember the phrase for
Ouroboros.
that.
Ouroboros.
Yes. Is that when you go back and say, all right, and you got to really take it, because the Zelda development team loves Skyward Sword. So they give so many references to that narrative, that story, and a lot of the things that come out since then. And they've talked about, or at least there's people who've talked about how the 10,000 years ago is when the original war was between, for Breath of the Wild. That it takes place 100 years after the 10,000 year time period, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they're trying to tie this back in. If you look at images of Link, he looks a lot like the Link on the mural that you see. And it's just crazy because it seems like everything is tying back so heavily to kind of those touch points from Breath of the Wild about that war 10,000 years ago. And you said, okay, is that the Skyward Sword story? No, it seems like it's more Tears of the Kingdom, because in Skyward Sword, they talk about how the evil, Demise, the imprisoned, came from beneath the earth and battled the goddess Hylia and all that lore there.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like what's happening in Tears of the Kingdom, where Ganon's coming out from under the ground, or Ganondorf, and how he's unleashing his army onto the surface of Hyrule. So, you know how legends are. They get a lot of facts. Things can line up, but there's missing pieces. So it could be both a prequel and a sequel, depending on how they tie it together.
Wait, is it with the Ouroboros idea of, like, it's kind of like the Scandinavian mythology, it's all like one big circle of time type of thing?
Yes, because in Skyward Sword, spoilers for the end, is that when you do beat Demise, in the same way that you beat most bosses or final bosses in Zelda with a nice good stab, right? Somewhere.
Right, of course.
When you beat Demise, that's when he curses Link.
Yeah.
And in the world of Hyrule to have this endless cycle that will never stop.
But then Okay, I know you probably just explained this, but I'm dumb. Okay, so then where would Tears of the Kingdom? That would be right after Skyward Sword, you're saying?
It could be it could be centuries before Skyward Sword, or at least a portion of it. Or, because we know we got to go back. We haven't had a time jump in the Zelda series since, I think, Skyward Sword. Because, yeah, I think that's right. So,
Link Between Worlds, I guess, but.
Oh, there you go. So they've got to bring back in that time travel element. It's just core to this narrative of Zelda. That's how they keep us confused, right? So I bet there's some type of hopping around to where it's both before Skyward Sword, after Breath of the Wild, and at the end, but at the beginning. Real simple.
Oh boy. Okay, but is the idea, then that's why Zelda's like, you have to come find me, Link. Where it's like, she's right there. She's standing right there, but she's in a different time.
I think so, because you see it again in the trailer that there's nothing in the sky for wherever she is.
Right.
Maybe she's on the highest island,
when?
I guess. But yeah, exactly.
Okay. Sorry, Spencer Bees and Danny Phantom, you both are salivating to talk Zelda lore. Spencer, what jumped out to you here?
Well, yeah, first of all, Ian, don't just besmirch the Hyrule timeline. It's absolutely sacred.
No besmirchment. No besmirchment. No besmirchment here.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I've been listening to countless podcasts, kind of going over the trailer release last week, and
yeah,
I think Easy Allies was going over, and they mentioned something that I guess, like, in the very beginning of the trailer release last week, Link flies right past, in that opening scene where he's falling through the sky, he flies right past what looks like to be the area that we see Zelda in cutscenes, right? Where there's like the pillar, or like so it's like they're saying like, oh, it's very obvious that like she's like, where she is located is very easily findable, but she's probably in a different timeline. Yeah. So there's got to be some sort of time jump.
Yeah, when it's on the ground, not when it's been elevated, because that's the other thing in Skyward Sword is that Hylia lifts portions of Hyrule into the sky to protect them. So that could be, because that's like, the theory is that that's also the area for the tutorial to be ended. You open those big doors and Link runs out to that area. So it's kind of like him leaving the plateau. But yeah, it certainly, that's where I would guess she would be too.
Huh. That's interesting. Danny Phantom, what stood out to you?
So a while ago, I kind of heard a similar theory that Tears of the Kingdom is basically the prequel to Skyward Sword, which traps them all in this endless cycle. But I'm also wondering if, like, because from a gameplay standpoint, I kind of feel like we've like hit peak like Zelda with the open world design and the build crafting and all that, and I almost wonder, this is the way for them to kind of like close off this like loop so they can start fresh again with their next iteration and kind of leave all this behind. That's a huge thing that's been kind of like on my mind lately with it.
Yeah, because like, where else do you go? And so if we can just say, this is the full circle now, and now we're going off in a whole new direction.
Yeah, that's what almost I'm kind of wondering is like, if like, because they did release that book and they kind of like solidified that there's like multiple timelines and that there's all this, honestly, this timey-wimey stuff that's going on. And I've been talking to a couple people, and a lot of people think like this might be the close of the loop, saying like, yes, this is the beginning, also the end, theoretically, of this. And then to kind of solve like all that lore and all that so they can start fresh on their next game.
This was a clip from Party Chat, our Patreon exclusive podcast that airs every single Monday. The podcast features cohorts and friends of the show, contributors, talking directly to the MinMax community. So if you're looking for even more podcasts from MinMax, this is the place to go. Just head to patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's, support us at the $5 tier, and you can listen to Party Chat every single week. Thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate it.